Liam and Maya were inseparable.
They met at age 5, building a lemonade stand on a hot summer day.
Their laughter echoed through the streets. They were different, Liam the quiet observer, Maya the fearless leader, but together, they fit. They shared secrets whispered under starry nights. They built forts out of old blankets and dreamed big dreams. As they grew older, their bond only deepened. They were each other's constant, a safe haven in a world that often felt too big.
They navigated the choppy waters of elementary school together, facing bullies and celebrating small victories.
Their bond was unbreakable, forged in shared laughter and whispered dreams.
Liam and Maya weren't just best friends. They were kindred spirits, two halves of a whole.
High school brought new challenges.
Liam, once shy, grew into his lanky frame.
Maya's fiery spirit attracted attention, both good and bad. They found solace in each other, but their rebellion against the world began. They started small, skipping class, sneaking out at night. The thrill of defying expectations was intoxicating. Their mischief escalated, petty theft, vandalism. Their bond remained strong, but a darkness had crept in, a shared secret that threatened to consume them.
Their parents, once so proud, watched with growing concern.
Teachers who had seen their potential shook their heads sadly.
But Liam and Maya were lost in their own world, the adrenaline rush of rebellion their only guide.
The jewelry store robbery was supposed to be their biggest adventure yet. They had spent weeks meticulously planning every detail, from the layout of the store to the timing of the security guards' shifts. They believed they had thought of everything, every possible scenario, every potential pitfall. This was their chance to prove to themselves and to the world that they were more than just ordinary people living ordinary lives. A way to prove their daring, their invincibility. They felt like characters in a movie, untouchable and unstoppable. The thrill of the heist was intoxicating, a heady mix of fear and excitement that made their hearts race and their minds sharpen. They were ready for anything, or so they thought.
But as they stood in the darkened store, adrenaline giving way to fear, Liam hesitated. The reality of what they were doing began to sink in. The shadows seemed to close in around him, and the silence was deafening. He could hear his own heartbeat, loud and insistent, a reminder of the life he was risking.
"Maya, we should go," he whispered, his voice shaky. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him, the enormity of the consequences if they were caught. He looked at Maya, hoping she would see reason, hoping she would agree to abandon the plan.
But Maya was already smashing a glass case, her eyes glittering with a reckless abandon that chilled Liam to the bone. She was in too deep, too committed to back out now. The sound of the glass shattering was like a gunshot in the stillness of the store, a signal that there was no turning back. The alarm shrieked, red and blue lights flashing outside. The noise was overwhelming, a cacophony of sound that shattered the silence and sent a jolt of fear through Liam's body. He knew they had only moments before the police arrived, moments to escape and avoid capture. Liam froze, fear paralyzing him. His mind raced, but his body refused to move. He was trapped in a nightmare, unable to wake up, unable to act. The fear was like a physical force holding him in place, making it impossible to think clearly. Maya grabbed his hand, pulling him towards the back door. Her grip was strong, almost painful, a lifeline in the chaos. She was determined to get them out, to see the plan through to the end. Her determination was infectious, and Liam felt a spark of hope, a glimmer of possibility.
"Run!" she yelled. Her voice was urgent, commanding, cutting through the fog of fear that clouded Liam's mind. He forced his legs to move, to follow her lead, to run towards the possibility of escape.
They ran, hearts pounding, sirens wailing behind them. They didn't get far. The city seemed to close in around them, the streets a maze of obstacles and dead ends. The sound of the sirens grew louder, closer, a reminder that time was running out. Cornered in an alleyway, they surrendered to the flashing lights and stern faces. The reality of their situation hit them like a tidal wave, the weight of their actions crashing down on them. There was no escape, no way out. They were caught, and there was nothing they could do. As the handcuffs clicked shut, Liam looked at Maya, really looked at her, and saw not the fearless girl he loved, but a stranger, lost and afraid. The realization was like a punch to the gut, a painful reminder of how far they had fallen. The dream of the heist had turned into a nightmare, and there was no waking up. The courtroom was cold and unforgiving. The air was thick with tension, and the harsh lighting only added to the oppressive atmosphere. Every creak of the wooden benches, every rustle of paper seemed amplified in the silence. It was a place where lives were changed forever, where justice was served, but often at a great personal cost.
Racked with guilt and fear, I couldn't bear to look at Maya. My heart pounded in my chest, and my hands trembled. I wanted to confess, to take responsibility for my part. The weight of my actions pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I knew that admitting the truth would change everything, but I couldn't find the courage to do it. The shame was overwhelming, and I felt like a coward.
But then he saw her, her face pale, her eyes filled with a new kind of fear, and he knew he couldn't. The fear in her eyes was not just for herself, but for him as well. It was a fear that spoke of love, of sacrifice, and of a future that was slipping away. He realized that his confession would not just condemn him, but it would also shatter her. The thought of causing her more pain was unbearable.
I took the blame, my voice a choked whisper as I claimed responsibility for everything. The words felt like shards of glass in my throat, but I forced them out. I saw the shock and confusion in the eyes of those around me, but I couldn't stop. I had to protect her, even if it meant sacrificing my own freedom. The courtroom seemed to close in on me, the walls pressing tighter as I spoke.
Liam stood there, a coward in his own silence, as the judge read the sentence. 5 years. 5 years that stretched before him, empty and meaningless without Maya by his side. The words echoed in his mind, each one a nail in the coffin of his future. He felt a hollowness inside, a void that nothing could fill. The reality of his situation began to sink in, and he felt a deep sense of despair.
I visited her whenever I could, each visit a painful reminder of what we had lost. The sterile walls of the visitation room, the cold glass between us, it all served to highlight the distance that had grown between us. She encouraged me to move on, to build a life without her. Her words were kind, but they felt like daggers to my heart. I could see the pain in her eyes, the struggle to stay strong for my sake.
But Liam couldn't. He was adrift, lost in a sea of guilt and regret. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, but the pain never lessened. He found himself wandering the streets at night, searching for something he couldn't name. The memories of happier times haunted him, and he couldn't escape the feeling that he had failed her. The weight of his guilt was a constant companion, dragging him down.
I vowed to make things right, to be worthy of the sacrifice she had made for me. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to try. I started by taking small steps, finding ways to atone for my mistakes. I reached out to those I had wronged, seeking forgiveness and trying to make amends. It was a long and difficult journey, but with each step, I felt a little closer to redemption. I knew that I could never undo the past, but I hoped that I could build a future that honored her sacrifice.
5 years. 5 long years had passed since that fateful day. Seasons changed, the world moved on, but for Maya and Liam, time seemed to stand still. 1,825 days, each day marked with a silent hope, a longing for a new beginning. The countdown to freedom, to a chance at redemption, was always on their minds. The day Maya was released, Liam was there, waiting. He had been there every day in spirit, but today he was there in person, holding flowers, his heart pounding with anticipation. Time had changed them both. The youthful faces in the old photographs had given way to more mature, weathered visages. They had grown, evolved, and learned from their past.
My youthful exuberance was tempered by a quiet strength. The years had taught me patience, resilience, and the power of inner peace. I found solace in meditation, in the pages of books, and in the quiet moments of reflection.
My guilt had matured into a steely determination to atone for my past. I threw myself into work, into helping others, and into becoming a better person. Every task, every act of kindness was a step towards redemption.
They didn't speak of the past, of the robbery, of the years lost. Instead, they focused on the present, on the moments they could share now. They found comfort in each other's presence, in the simple act of being together. They talked about the future, about second chances, about building a life together, a good life. They made plans, set goals, and dreamed of a future filled with love and happiness. And in the quiet moments, stolen glances spoke volumes. Forgiveness, love, hope. These were the unspoken words that passed between them, the silent promises of a better tomorrow.
We married that spring, a simple ceremony with just a few close friends and family. It was a day of joy, of new beginnings, and of promises made under the open sky. There were tears, of course, but they were tears of joy, of gratitude for second chances. Each tear shed was a testament to the journey we had taken, to the love that had endured.
They started small, renting a modest apartment, finding jobs that filled their days with honest work. It wasn't much, but it was theirs, a place to call home, a foundation to build upon. They were rebuilding their lives, brick by fragile brick. Each day was a step forward, a move towards a future they could be proud of. Together, they planted seeds of hope, nurtured dreams, and watched as their new life began to take shape. In the kitchen, they cooked meals together, laughing and sharing stories. In the evenings, they sat side by side, enjoying the simple pleasure of each other's company. These were the moments that defined their new beginning. They explored new places, visited museums, and spent days out in nature. Each adventure was a reminder of the world that awaited them, of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. They celebrated small victories, supported each other through challenges, and grew stronger together. Their journey was far from over, but with each passing day, they moved closer to the life they had always dreamed of. Under the night sky, they looked at the stars and dreamed of the future. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but with love, hope, and determination, they were ready to face whatever came their way. And so, hand in hand, they walked into the sunset, ready to embrace the new beginning that awaited them. With each step, they left the past behind and moved forward, together, towards a future filled with endless possibilities.